75,000 people attending every match, fully behind the host nation. Not a single one of those fans supporting the opposition. Every one of the matches was played at 9 or 10 p.m. after the sun has set and the temperature is at its lowest. What are the excuses for the Egyptian national team's performance over the last week? Getting knocked out of the African Cup of Nations as early as the last 16. For me personally, I can't find any excuses for the team. They were wasteful, so wasteful. The number of missed opportunities was ridiculous, and they weren't just half chances, they were golden opportunities to score and effectively put games to bed. The players, they didn't even seem like they cared. Their warm-ups compared to the opposition team were lazy, slow. They didn't have any structure. I was watching South Africa warm up before the game between Egypt and South Africa. The South African players were passing the ball quickly, swiftly, with good firm connections, practicing their shots. The Egyptian players were all individually spread across the pitch, keepy-uppies, kicking the ball in the air and practicing their first touch. Stuff that kids do before a Sunday league game. And just the way Egyptian football is, the way they fly into tackles, it's just a risky strategy. You fly into a tackle, you're instantly out of position if you don't make the interception. And that happened on too many occasions. And some of the tackles were truly reckless and risked getting a red card. It's just a silly way to approach. Just like Maldini said in the past, if he has to make a tackle, he's already made a mistake. Well, Egyptian defence seems to just love flying in for that super tackle. And that's not the way to defend. Not on an international level, a level that you want to be competing for the tournament in. Play was too slow and lethargic. People were scared to have the ball at their feet, scared to make the forward pass just in case it got intercepted. But that gives you no excuse not to try that ball, to try and make something happen. The midfield line, all three of them were terrified of having the ball and were terrified of making that forward pass. You had players just turning so slowly. Mohamed Salah in particular just did not try a forward ball. It would take ages just to turn, and in the end, he would just resort to the backward pass. And although the front three did make many forward runs, they just weren't being found because the midfield just didn't want to risk it. The only player that was going for it, trying to make something happen with passing, was Mohamed Salah, and he did play a few good through balls, but just not enough. More of the midfield need to be trying to find those attackers. Mohamed Salah's job is not to be the playmaker. He should be finishing it all off. I don't know if the Egyptian team thought they were playing well because the results deceived them. They see that they win their first 3 matches, not conceding any goals. Did they think that they could just breeze through the tournament? Because I can promise you, none of the fans did. Every single second of the match, everyone is sweating, tense, nervous, knowing that we are not getting through this competition because of skill. No, we're getting through because somewhere, somehow, God is helping the players through. And you gotta also just question the attitude of the players. You're in your home competition. You're going for an 8th title. How can there be other distractions away from the pitch? The Hamra Warda saga is just unacceptable. How can you be focusing on something other than football in this crucial time? You have one job: play 3 weeks of good football, bring the trophy home to your home nation. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to have a home competition. How are you blowing it away on silly extracurricular activities? It's just not good enough. You have to talk about Mohamed Salah, the leader, the superstar of this team. And honestly, I don't think he really stepped up to the stage. This is a player going for the Ballon d'Or. If he had had a good competition this time, brought the trophy home for Egypt, who knows, he could really have been in contention for the Ballon d'Or following his season winning the Champions League and being top Premier League scorer. So it kind of surprises me that he didn't do more. Yes, he scored 2 goals, and he did bring Egypt out of some tough situations with his moments of magic. But he can see around him that people are struggling to get the ball to him. So he needs to do more to go and find that ball and make things happen for the others. Also, I have to question his body language. Of course he's frustrated. Everyone is. And he, more than any of the other players on the pitch, has the right to be frustrated. But showing it, expressing it through body language and tossing your arms up, and it's not a good look. The other 10 players on the pitch can see that you're frustrated, can see that you're annoyed, and that brings down their confidence. That makes them more nervous. That makes them less likely to try and find you with a ball, because if they mess it up, they know you're going to have a negative reaction. And Mohamed Salah also did have a drop-off in his performance. In the regular season for Liverpool, he completed 76% of his passes. This dropped down to 69% for this tournament. Just like the whole team, the passing was atrocious. But when you are in these situations, your performance needs to step up, not drop down. As we all know, Mohamed Salah is a superstar. He's an icon. He's an idol for the 100,000 Egyptians in this country. But I believe in a situation like this, Egypt doesn't need a superstar. Egypt needs a leader. You have players like Carlos Puyol, who was a great defender in his day, but was by no means the best Spanish player on the team. However, he was a leader, he was a captain, he put the team on his back, he motivated them through times that they were struggling, and that's why they were successful. And we've seen that Mohamed Salah can do that when he scored the penalty against Congo to send Egypt through to the World Cup. Egypt had just conceded a few minutes before and the whole team was devastated. He brought them up. He's the one who brought the atmosphere to roof. He's the one who brought the team together. He's the one who motivated them to get back in this match. I feel like he needs to do that more often. I think he needs to be the one to motivate the team, to tell them what's right and wrong. He's the one who's found success, and he's the one who has the tools to help unlock the success for others. And I believe he needs to take that role. Now, I know I've touched on Mohamed Salah before as a player who's slow, who doesn't like risking the forward pass and would much prefer playing the safer backwards pass. But that's just not good enough. For a team trying to win a competition, you need to take more risks. You need to go out there and look for opportunities to score. And only making 0.3 key passes per game is not good enough. How are you supposed to be creating the chances for Trezeguet and Salah, who are runners, if you're not making any forward passes, any key passes? And then he also has to take a look at himself. He's not playing at all at Arsenal. He's not getting any regular game time. He needs to look somewhere else. He needs to get some game time in and improve his game, because the man has potential. And I know he's 26 years old and he's supposedly in the prime of his career, but that prime is being wasted by being sat on the bench. He needs to hone his skills. He needs to improve on the foundation that he built himself at Basel. I think this was the breakout tournament for Trezeguet. He had a decent World Cup and a decent African Cup of Nations a couple years ago. But this time, he really showed his skills. Just some beautiful runs, some that you don't even understand how he got out of his situation. You'd look 1 second, he'd have 3 defenders around him, the next he'd got past all 3 of them. Some of the moves he did were unbelievable and truly a great performance. However, again, it is with fault. Just like with all the skillful wing players, focusing too much on dribbling and not enough on finishing. And he missed some very, very big chances in the game against South Africa, and he can't afford to do that again. He needs to look at himself, work on his finishing, and make sure that when the golden opportunities come again, he takes them. Now, it pains me to say this, but the best player of the whole team was the goalkeeper, Shenawi. The reason that it pains me is because I'm strongly of the opinion that the goalkeeper should never be the best player in the team. This is an attacking game and you need to score more goals than your opponent. So when your goalkeeper is being bombarded by shot after shot after shot, that's not good enough from the team's point of view. Shenawi, on the other hand, had an excellent tournament, only conceded 1 goal in 4 matches and made an array of very important and very good saves. And I'm excited for his future. And the final player that I'm going to touch upon is Mohamed Salah. He was a rock at the back. He showed his skill, he showed his understanding of the defensive position. And in the third game against Uganda, where he didn't play due to his yellow card, the defensive frailties of Egypt were really shown, and that was the match where Egypt conceded the most shots against them. And that just shows his importance to the team. And so again, a brilliant performance from Mohamed Salah. And now I want to touch upon the manager, Javier Aguirre. Now, I don't usually like singling out the manager as the main reason for a team's failure, because I believe that the 11 players on the pitch have the power and ability to change the direction a game is heading, no matter who's in charge. However, I believe that the appointment of Javier Aguirre was completely wrong. I strongly believe that the manager of a national team should have the same nationality as the country he's representing. This is because in international tournament, you are representing your country. You are proud to play. You want to succeed. And having a manager of a different nationality means that his passion, his heart is not fully invested in the team, because he himself is from a different country and isn't as fully invested in the country he's managing. I'd be surprised if Aguirre even knew half the players in the Egyptian team before he got the job. And that's another important thing, having a background knowledge of the players in your team, knowing their personalities, knowing their strengths, knowing their weaknesses. It's not a revision exercise where when you get the job, you look them up and see how they play and kind of put them in a team. You have to know and understand your players. And that's what happens when an international manager from a different country comes to manage a country. They pick the stars, they pick the big names, the ones that are known, that have succeeded abroad. And in the Egyptian league, which isn't as widely televised around the world, and the names are much less famous, the manager tends to overlook, like the case with El-Neni. I don't think that Mohamed El-Neni should have played in this tournament simply because he played such little football. He only played 841 minutes all season, and that's not enough preparation for a huge international competition like the African Cup of Nations. Also, I have to question Aguirre's tactics for the game. How on earth, with 5 minutes left of a knockout game, is the team still attacking? There should be some sort of structure, some sort of defensive backbone in those last 5 minutes to push the team into extra time, where you have an extra half an hour to reset and go and get that winning goal. It baffles me that even in the 85th minute, when South Africa scored their goal against Egypt had one person at the back. Only one person defending. I don't know if that's the players getting selfish, greedy, wanting the glory of the 90th minute winner, wanting to see their names on all the newspapers, or whether the manager wanted the attacking football. Either way, it's the manager's responsibility to tell the team to sit back and defend and hold that draw until they can make changes for extra time and push for that winner. International managers too often rely on that star player, that big name. They make them the target man and tell the other 10 players to give them the ball and watch the magic happen. That's not how football should work. It's a team game. The team need to come together and have a proper structure and a set of tactics that is going to bring them success in the match. That's why lesser nations that don't have many star players usually perform better, because they have a unity, they have a plan, they have a structure in how they play their football. Egypt, to this day, I still don't know what their plan was. It seems just hit it up to Mohamed Salah and let him do the magic. And that's not going to be enough to win a tournament where you have strong nations like Senegal and Algeria playing as well. There's a strong correlation of managers representing their home countries finding success. For example, Vicente Del Bosque's 1 World Cup win and 1 European Championship win with Spain, and Joachim Löw's 1 World Cup and 1 Confederations Cup success, along with another 4 semi-final appearances for the German national team. And there's also evidence to show that managers representing a different country from their home nation finding failure, even though their managerial ability is very good. Most notably, Claudio Ranieri, who was sacked from the Greece job following a 1-0 loss to San Marino, and then a couple seasons later in the 2015-16 season, leading Leicester City to a Premier League title. I believe the reason this is because there needs to be an understanding between the squad and the manager. All 23 players in the squad are from the same or similar culture. They have similar beliefs, similar mannerisms, just similar in every way. If you introduce a manager who is also the same as them, there's going to be a greater brotherhood between them. There's going to be a greater understanding of the behaviours of both the manager and the players. When you introduce a foreign manager to a national team, they speak a different language. There's instantly a difference. There's instantly a communication barrier. And again, referring to the national pride, the manager has an extra reason to win. They have an extra chance at becoming a national hero. They want to win not just because they're paid to win, but because they genuinely love their country and they want to see it successful. And that is the difference between winning and losing, is that extra, every little extra advantage you can get. That's why having a native manager can be such a great advantage. And finally, I want to touch upon the fans. Now, I feel like the fans are very important in this situation because it was the home African Cup of Nations for Egypt, and then fans play a huge part. As I've already mentioned, every match was attended by 75,000 Egyptians, all behind the team. For 90 minutes straight, there was non-stop noise, non-stop support, and every time the opposition got on the ball, you could feel the hostility. You could feel the atmosphere turn into negativity to try and put off the opposition from their game. And that's amazing. But I think that the home advantage is being slightly overlooked. The thing with these events is that of those 75,000 fans that are supporting Egypt, how many of them are actually supporters and how many of them are just simply viewers? How many people attending the match are just there for the selfie, the picture, the evidence that they attended the match to post on their Snapchat, their Instagram? They're there for the experience. We need less of those and more true fans. People who understand football, who can get behind the team, who know the chants, who know how to encourage and push the players through, who, when they go down, they can get them back up. I attended 3 of the 4 Egyptian matches, and I can tell you my experience on the most part was brilliant. However, I noticed one too many fans who weren't keen on the noise, who were telling people to stop blowing their horns, who wanted people to sit down because they couldn't see. This isn't a movie theatre. This is a football match. The noise, the passion, the atmosphere, these are the most important things a fan brings to the match. And if you take them away because people are there to just experience the whole thing, then you lose that advantage of being the host nation. And while I don't think it was that big of a deal, and fans were definitely not at fault for Egypt's failures these past weeks, they do play a part. We're all responsible. And I believe that the whole nation as a collective need to look at themselves. Berating the players, insulting them, swearing at them is not going to achieve anything. These players are humans too. They're not just cogs in a machine that can just be turned on and off. They have emotions and they respond to different stimuli differently. You berate a player for a bad performance, a bad pass, you boo them, they're going to lose confidence. That's going to make them less likely to take a shot or make a dribble because they're scared if it goes wrong that they're going to be berated. We need constructive criticism. We need to support the players, tell them what they're doing wrong and how they can improve. We as fans know substantially less than the players. They've lived football their whole lives. They train every day and they know what they need to work on. Having someone with so much less knowledge, you just screaming at you for no reason because they're unhappy with the way you're performing, is not going to make them want to perform any better. Well, that's it. The end of the African Cup of Nations for Egypt before the quarter-final stage. I think this really is a sign and a gateway and a chance for change. There needs to be a deep look at the team, at the management, and at the attitudes of the players to make sure that this doesn't repeat again and to return to the strength of the past, the strength that won the 7 previous African Cup of Nations. Egypt need to find that again, and they need to find it quickly.